This September 12th, SON Estrella Galicia are back in London with their micro festival at Hackney's Paper Dress Vintage. With live music, beer culture, street food and workshops, SON Estrella Galicia is the musical arm of the family-owned independent Estrella Galicia beer brand, which has been creating unforgettable music experiences since 2009. The September the 12th event will be headlined by Coach Party with support from the New Weaves, as well as yet-to-be-announced DJ sets and local music selectors. There'll be a clothing repair workshop to customise your repaired clothes, a local food vendor serving 0 kilometre food with veggie and vegan options, a Soundcrafters interactive workshop, and a beer pouring workshop. Alongside the London event, there'll be a series of new micro-festivals in Madrid, A Coruña, Barcelona later in 2024, and Berlin and Granada in 2025, reflecting a truly global approach from SON Estrella Galicia. So if you're in London, September the 12th, swing by Hackney's Paper Dress Vintage for SON Estrella Galicia. Tickets are available now via Dice. As an independent music podcast, 101 Part-Time Jobs highly recommends DistroKid as the best solution to putting out your own music online. You can join 1 million other artists from all across the world putting out their own music on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere else across the DSPs where people are listening to your music. My dream as a kid was to run a small little label, and now with DistroKid, getting music out online is the easiest it ever has been, making 100% of your own royalties while paying a small annual fee. And that fee's even smaller as a 101 Part-Time Jobs listener. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get 30% off your first year putting out your own music on DistroKid. Getting your own music out into the world has never been easier. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get the best deal you can.
Dona do lar? Eu sou dona de mim.
Se eu nasci pra casar? Não, eu nasci pra brilhar. Este é o lembrete de L'Oréal Paris para que você nunca se esqueça do seu próprio valor. Porque a sua história é valiosa. Porque você vale muito.
Desfrute do novo Icon of the Seas da Royal Caribbean, agora partindo de Miami. É o ícone das férias repleto de atrações, com o maior parque aquático no mar e espetáculos sensacionais da Broadway. Com destinos incríveis no Caribe, incluindo a premiada ilha particular Perfect Day at Coco Cay, a aventura nunca acaba. Icon of the Seas, as melhores férias em família do mundo. Acesse royalcaribbean.com/BRA. Aplicam-se termos e condições.
Welcome along to 101 Part-Time Jobs. It's the podcast where we hear from exciting and interesting bands and artists about how they sustain and maintain themselves in the streaming age. On today's episode, we hear from Mary Lattimore and Gently Tender, both from End of the Road Festival. We got a camper van, which was pretty plush of us, I must say, so we could go down and head to the festival. Saw some amazing bands. Slowdive was probably one of the best performances I've ever seen, and End of the Road is just a lovely festival. You walk in and immediately you're greeted with this sense of creativity, with this sense of fun, of mischief, and good music. End of the Road was a really great time. Thanks to them for having us. First, we're going to hear from Mary Lattimore, the classically trained harpist, who's just released an album earlier this year with Walt McClements called Rain on the Road. And then we're going to hear from Gently Tender's Sam and Francesca. It's 101 Part-Time Jobs from End of the Road Festival. 101 Part-Time Jobs, It started When this isn't someone's grave, is it?
I don't know.
You wouldn't know,
No
would
answer.
you? I was lucky growing up around people who made music.
Yeah.
And at some point, it's like, okay, how do we prioritize the music over everything else?
Yeah.
Jobs, work, rent. You know, were you like that? I mean, I know your mum plays, but did you have friends
Yeah.
growing up who were playing?
Playing in bands?
In bands?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All kinds of
Still
music.
do. All kinds of music. And yeah, my mom was kind of a role model as to like, oh, you can make it as a career. But my dad works a non-music job, you know, so they have a shared income. But I think my dad is like really proud of my mom. With me, my parents were very worried because they were like, oh, you don't have like a husband with a second income. This is a really hard life. But I mean, I think now I'm like, you know, making my way through it. I don't own a house or anything like that, but
Who needs to? Who can? Mortgage rates.
Who can? It's crazy.
Yeah.
I know. But I have had a lot of other jobs in my life besides harp. So, you know, supplementary income. So
I think that's part of the picture now, and there's something I find, and I don't think it's like too sort of hyperbole or like over the top for me to say this. I find there's something beautiful in the people who are making the records that I love, that keep me company at all times throughout the day in different moods, that they're having to survive and sustain and maintain.
yeah, you figure it out. I was working 4 jobs in Philly when I was living there, 4 jobs at once and playing music. And it was like, it was only when I won this fellowship that came with some money that I was able to like drop 2 of those jobs from my schedule. But yeah, and it also, you know, just like meeting coworkers, like it adds to the flavor of the sounds. You know, I think the more life experience you have, then the better the music is, really. So I think like, you know, like having a common enemy and a boss that you hate, or like, you know, some weird annoying customer that you can all like kind of be like, oh, it's him again. Like, oh. And it just like deepens friendships and relationships, and just having a community, like a fabric and community, can only add to the sounds.
And you're looking outside of yourself, because I guess making music can be a very solitary thing.
Yeah. And it keeps you humble too, you know, where you're just like, oh man, I have to like clean this pizza oven. You know, like I feel like oh yeah, I'm not like a hot shot on the stage. I'm also like cleaning this thing, and like every day is the same. So just having a balance, I think, is cool.
What are your memories of that, or were there particular times where you wrote a tune or had an idea and you can kind of remember where you were?
Yeah, I do that a lot, and I would say like when I won that fellowship and I got some cash, like and I was able to quit those jobs, I went on a long road trip and made a record from that freedom that I felt. So it's kind of like the negative space that came from, you know, that negative space was really important to the music too. You know,
Awesome.
And freedom, like a little bit of freedom, and like, oh wow, this is legitimized, you know, too. Wow, it's not just you who is like into making these sounds, it's legitimized in a way too. So.
It's funny how we need that. I feel like a lot of people in music were kind of the rebels at school. And the kind of the saying fuck you to authority is, even if you're making harp music, I imagine there's like a bit of a
sure, you're weird. You're weird. You're weird, you're not. I'm
getting to the stage where I'm really enjoying being a little bit weird. You know.
Me too.
We're getting towards the end of the summer. The end of the road is, you know, there's something that happens in September, early September. It's like a time of new beginnings. Because you're turning the page. Maybe it comes from the new school year. Probably
always
does.
It lives. That cycle like lives in your brain forever.
That's
I think.
funny, isn't it? Do you find yourself writing more around this time of year, or coming up with ideas or things you want to do?
I have had a lot of records come out in October for some reason. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is when you release. This is like release time when I have something ready, and like the anticipation kind of feels like the school year too. It's like, oh yeah, we've been working towards this. There's the downtime between the actual recording of it and the releasing of it, which is kind of like summery, and you're like, oh, there's nothing else I can do. it's coming out. I have to let it off the leash, and then the fall it comes out. So I kind of like that cycle, you know.
What are you into? What do you really like to do? What do you make time for yourself to do?
Oh, good question. I mean, I love a slow morning.
Yeah.
Right now I'm learning Italian, so I'm like taking Italian lessons a couple times a week.
Awesome.
And
none of this Duolingo stuff in person.
Duolingo, but then I also use an app called Preply, which is like, it matches you with the tutor. So it's kind of like a Zoom situation where you talk to them in person. And I mean, I have Daniele. He's really nice. He lives in Genova, and he I talk to him a couple times a week, and I feel like it's getting better.
Yeah, it does. It does. I did Preply.
Oh, you did Preply.
Stopped because it was just getting the schedule too much. But I've just got to 300 days on Duolingo in German.
I think in German. I think I'm at 210 today.
That's pretty
today
good going.
Yeah.
If you're playing a show, I guess you have a little bit of time between sound check to get involved.
And you have to do the can't talk now and can't listen now, you know? You have to do it like kind of silently.
Seen any good movies recently? Read any good books?
Yes. Right now I'm reading Mrs. Dalloway, Virginia Woolf book that I had never read before. I don't really know Virginia Woolf very much, but like this one was described as the most beautiful book ever written or something. You know, just her way of writing, like her descriptions and stuff. So I'm enjoying it. It's kind of tricky, but I'm enjoying it.
It's good, a challenging
it's like
book.
It's kind of stream of consciousness. So I have to like reread the sentences over and over again a couple times. But some movies that I've seen lately, I just saw this beautiful film called Good One.
Okay.
India Donaldson, I think is her name. She directed it. It's about it's about a young girl, 16-year-old girl who goes on a camping trip with her dad and his sort of hapless friend. And it's a really quiet film. It's really beautiful. It went to Sundance. I have a song in it actually, so I went to the screening. It's a really beautiful film. I think everyone should see it. It's great.
What's it like seeing your music set to picture?
Dream come true.
Different context.
Dream come true, really. And hearing it coming through the speakers of the cinema, you know, it's like I never thought that would ever happen. So it's really exciting.
How do you react to that?
Just like I don't know. I feel like I try to write in a cinematic way. You know, I have a picture in my mind when I'm writing stuff and like try to make a little movie in my mind, but I never really, it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
And so seeing how somebody else interprets a song and the images that they would put with the song, it's like, it's really fascinating, you know, like seeing how they hear the song.
And music can change the scene of a film and can make it the most memorable.
It's a really interesting scene too. When the song comes in, it's like a pivotal scene. So I very much recommend this. I also saw another similar film called Janet Planet that I really loved.
Cool name though.
It came out pretty recently. It's about a young little girl who she lives with her mom, and her mom is kind of a little bit wild or like kind of bohemian, and it's like a love story about a little girl and her mom, and like falling out of love a little bit and coming of age. And I don't know, I just like these kind of quiet films that don't have a ton of score and don't have a ton of like dialogue, but just a lot of images, and like you can just really feel them.
I heard someone say, I think it was the guy, Ken Loach's audio person, and Ken Loach films are pretty dark, right? And he was saying, the audio guy was saying, like, we want music that you don't really notice is there, but it's definitely there. And I thought that's a very interesting way to think about music that's put together with film.
I'm scoring some films now, and like I find myself like, because I'm a really chatty player, I do a lot of layers, a lot of notes, and so like kind of holding back a little bit is really challenging, and I think that's really fun. You know, it's like the minimalism and like just thinking about what I like to watch versus how I like to play, and like kind of reconciling those two things. It's cool.
Do you know the name of the project? Are you allowed to say it?
Films I've scored?
The one that you're scoring right now?
I just finished scoring a film called Sylvania. It's directed by a friend of mine, Kyle Smith, and it's like kind of a road movie, but and the couple's breaking up. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not coming out for a while, but I just finished it, and I did a couple documentaries last year. One about Unarius Academy of Science. It's a sort of out there spiritual community where they believe in these aliens called the Space Brothers, and they're coming down to assist in like art and poetry and I don't know. They're a very cool community, the Unarius. So I did the doc along with the UK's own Bat for Lashes. She did a song at the end of the movie too. It's a really good film.
Great. Hey, Mary, thanks so much for chatting.
Thanks a lot. It was really nice to meet you, and thanks again.
Is this the last festival you're playing this summer?
It's the last and the only festival we've played all year.
Come on. Well,
Yeah.
I guess it's an album-less year.
So we're actually really buzzed to play it because normally, bands will take a bit of a time off.
Yeah.
But it's just great to be here, and
Few members. It was not your first show.
No, it's my.
It's your third show. You're an old timer.
I think 15?
We've been on a couple tours.
Yeah, 15,
my first
16.
show was Green Man last year.
Okay.
So
Yeah, baptism of fire, I'd say.
And then there was the tour with Naima Bok.
yeah.
Yeah, we played at Earth. That was a
Nice.
beautiful venue to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it upstairs?
Upstairs in the theatre. Yeah.
It's wild, isn't it? I love looking at those walls because it just hasn't been fucked with or painted over.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite venues.
Feels like you're in a movie when you're up there on that stage. Yeah.
New record. I don't know if we're technically allowed to talk about it yet.
Well, I'm up for talking about anything.
But
I'm
you
an
said-
open book.
You said on stage just then how it's about a walk down from Hertfordshire down to central London.
Down to central London, down to the River Thames, and that's where it finishes. I spend my time doing a lot of walking. I've just been diagnosed with ADHD. I think over the years I've been medicating myself through walking. I think that's how I've been able to kind of focus on my writing and things like that. So I spend a lot of my time doing that. I spend half my week in the studio, half my week walking. Yeah.
And you said before when we chatted for an episode how you were you're taking a camper van up to Scotland, staying in bivvies or bovies?
Bothies.
Bothies.
Yeah. We had another band called the Three Spoons who played here last year, and we would always like rehearse in bothies and things like that.
You rehearse in them?
Yeah.
Were you in that band,
Well,
Francesca?
I'm not.
It was with Naima Bok. And
How
Sam
did you
Grassi.
get power?
No, you don't. It's just folk stuff.
So you'd find a bothy
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere and play?
Yeah, so 3 years ago, before Green Man, there's a bothy and the mountain on the side of it, and we just like arrived there about 10 p.m. and just like got our guitars out. And we woke up in the morning and we saw there was about 5 other wild campers around us, and they were like, "You kept us up all night." And we're like, "Sorry." It's not that bad, folks. Okay, at least it's not like reggaeton, you know.
I think that's fine. I mean, I feel like in camp. What's that?
I don't even know what that is. I just came up with that.
It's not. Was it Lana Del Rey who played at Reading and there was like techno going on? I felt for her. But there is like etiquette with walking and camping, isn't there? Do you feel like you subscribe to that etiquette? I don't know I can't even think of what the rules really are. Apart from you're not allowed to leave a banana on the trail because they take
Specifically?
decades
You've
to.
always got to take with you more than you've taken with you. So that means you've always got to clean up other people's mess on your walks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you quite hot on if you see a packet of an empty packet of crisps, will you pick it up and put it in the bin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hate it on beaches when I'm on holiday and I just see plastic. I just spend pretty much half my time just picking up plastic, and we just have too much stuff. There's too much clutter. We just have too many things, and you see it everywhere. And it's just like, this is going to end up just in a pile somewhere one day. That's everything.
Do you know about
That's
the huge island of trash as big as France?
I've heard about this. It's in the Pacific.
In the Pacific.
Yeah.
There's just, because of the currents and how the water's moved, it's all just like there in this.
That's scary.
It's disgusting.
What's the most memorable job that you've worked? It could be one that was very short-lived.
Memorable in a good way or a bad way?
Up to you, up to your discretion.
I do lots of like little freelance-y bits.
Mm-hmm.
I do like whatever I can, graphic design, video editing, animation-y things.
Good stuff to have if you play in a band.
It is. I learned it by doing my own music and having to have those things and having no money to
Yeah.
get those things made. So you learn how to make them yourself, and then you're like, okay, this is a skill I can probably charge people for. So you start doing that.
And at some point, it's like, well, if you have that vision, if you know what an artwork cover you'd love for it to be like, or what colours, or just kind of
Yeah.
some theme,
Yeah.
maybe you can start putting that from your own imagination onto Photoshop or whatever you're using.
Yeah. It's just I like having that control as well over the visual aspect of music, and like it's such a big thing to give someone else control over.
Yeah.
So I'm a control freak, and I like to do that. Yeah.
Have you thought about the new record and the artwork? And you say you got all but 2 songs.
Yeah, I think we're going to record 2 more songs in a great place in Bethnal Green that we've just found.
Okay.
It's a massive studio that nobody's ever heard of before. Yeah, I don't even know what it's called, but I went and had a look at it, and it's massive, and they've spent $100,000 on it, and no bands have ever used it.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they're really desperate to get some bands in, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's in the warehouse in Bethnal Green. And so we're going to try that out. Yeah, get a full brass section and everything. Yeah.
There must be so many studios that we don't even know
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah. I know. So the album is coming along nicely. It's I'm not going to say the title of it because that's giving too much of it. Yeah, we've got the title of it. Yeah, I've had the title of this album before we released our debut album. Yeah.
Okay.
I've written them both down. I've written two album titles down, and we Take Hold of Your Promise was one of them, and the second title. So had that like 4 years ago. Yeah.
What kind of space were you in when you were thinking of it? What kind of pictures and imagery were you thinking of? Do you think, on reflection?
It was definitely inspired by the walks and the fields and the mountains and the valleys, but then the city side of it came in much later, and when I did the walk, I was like, that's going to be the perfect title for this album. And then I think the journey has really helped me creatively, just because I remember doing the walk, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to write about next? I was like, I just remember that specific thing that happened, and a car went past and it made my ears hurt, and like that, basically just all those little moments. It's just like
So is it all about one walk? It wasn't split up. It was one day.
One walk. Yeah, I've got a lot of energy. I've got a lot of energy to burn, and normally like 25 miles is medium.
25 miles.
Yeah, I will go forever. I will go forever. I want to end up walking from. My plan is to end up doing Hadrian's Wall back to London. Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a long album.
Hadrian's Wall back to London.
Yeah. That's been my plan for the last 5-6 years. Yeah,
that's a good plan.
Yeah.
You got to have plans.
I'm starting to kind of get the gear for that walk.
Like get the shoes.
I've got like a really small one-man tent now. Like that's like a little coffin and everything like that.
You're serious?
Yeah. I really want to do that. Obviously, I've got a baby now, so I've obviously got to take. I'm going to bring him along.
Yeah.
Bring him along.
Yeah. A little what do you call them? The shawls that come over.
Bring him along.
Sam, Francesca, thank you very much. 101 part-time
Thank you, Giles. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Thank you. So there were a couple of chats from End of the Road Festival this year. What a great place. I'm really missing it. When we had to leave, I was kind of gutted. I felt like a small child being dragged away from the place where I really wanted to be, from the playground or the sweet shop. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you're able to subscribe, we'd love that. We put out 2 episodes at least every week with bands and artists who we're excited about, and we'd love to have you along for it. Cheers.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.